Hey, my fellow ladies out there. So men think they own you. Take it from somebody that used to be a man. You got boobs. You got a vajayjay. Guess what, honey? You own them. Trust me, they want it. Make them earn it.
All right, Patriots, here we go again. Now, as you saw in that very deranged and extremely difficult to understand first clip, I thought I'd start us off with some laughter, a little bit of levity, because there's no way in the world this man jumped on there and said, hey, I used to be a man. No crap. And then he got the beard chin. That's where, your beard is on your chin and on your neck beard. I'm sorry, he got the neck beard, got the wig on. This is crazy. But it falls in line with what we're talking about today. Now, in this video, I'm going to show you some evidence that I believe Ilhan Omar's attack was staged. And I believe that once you get through watching this, you're going to feel the exact same way. Because isn't it ironic that right now, with everything going on, Ilhan Omar just so happens to face an attack from this random person in the front row. So I'm going to show you video footage. I'm going to show you clips. I'm even going to show you what many may conceive as Ilhan Omar signaling to this man when it was time to do what it is that he did. So I'm going to show the clip of Ilhan Omar's attack and what the media is going to try to do. So when you see it, you'll say, we knew this was coming. But then I'm going to show you the hardcore evidence of this thing being staged to manipulate you and I and the other people that are watching on the heels of one of the largest and the worst frauds done against America. Democrats know that their voters and supporters are ignorant, but I believe they think that you and I are as ignorant or as gullible, but we're not. So let's get off into it. I'm gonna play this clip and then let's go through and break this thing down. Check this out.
Secretary Kristi Noem must resign or face impeachment. I don't know.
Oh my God, he sprayed something on her.
I need a napkin to know nothing. No, we will continue.
No. Ilhan, you need to go get checked. No,
we will continue. These fucking assholes are not going to get away with it.
you need to go get checked. No, you don't know what. No.
So as you saw, boy, Ilhan Omar got sprayed. Security saying, let's get out of here. Let's get out of here. And she's, no, we're going to stand here. We're not going to let these effing a-holes stop us from what we're doing. They're not going to break up the fact that we've been frauding Minneapolis and Minnesota. And this freaking a-hole is going to come in here and let me finish my oh so super duper important speech. I've got to show that I'm a fighter and finish this speech. Right? This was one of the worst sticks that I've ever seen. It's like a skit out of SNL or Mad TV. Now, we're going to get off into it. But before I even do that, I'm going to let you hear the American patriot, the best patriot on television, what Scott Jennings has to say. And then we're going to go in. Check this out.
Now, look, number one, everybody ought to condemn any kind of political violence and political intimidation, whether it's happening to a Democrat or happening to a Republican. And that would go for the president. It would go for members of Congress. Everybody ought to condemn all political violence and all political intimidation. And so we should in this case. The other thing that jumps out to me tonight is, and we've talked about this before in unfortunate circumstances, most members of Congress are out in the open. They do not have great security.
I mean, that is terrifying how easily he could approach her.
They're not treated like the president. We're used to seeing the president and all the Secret Service and all that. Most members of Congress, vast majority of them, have very little security at all. And they really are out in the open. And all it takes is one crazy person or hateful person or whatever to approach them. So we should keep that in mind. We have a lot of tough political debates and tough political fights, but we're all human beings here. And these human beings who are in elected office are often in very insecure environments.
All right. So we heard Scott Jennings there. And we saw, did you notice how Ilhan Omar, she tried to run after the attacker? Now, first thing I want to point out, we all know now, are there some women out there that kick butt and take names? Yes. But the initial reaction of most women, a man that just approached them aggressively, sprayed some strange thing on her, you don't know what's going on. He didn't snatch anything from you, didn't take anything from you, no personal phone, no child, none of that. And most women are not going to take off after somebody like that. That's number one. It's not going to happen. The natural reaction, first you're startled. And then, you got security and everything too. It's like, get them. But no, this really, really small, frail Somali woman wanted to chase after him. Now, you may say, well, Brian, you know what? I would have done the same thing as a woman. I would have chased him down. Okay, you might have me there. Maybe you would have. Now, let's check out this next clip, though, and tell me, would you have done this also? Now, I want you to look at this because it is really fast. And tell me if you catch it. Now, this clip is only 7 seconds, and I may have to replay it 2 or 3 times. But tell me if you catch it. As a matter of fact, put it in the comments if you catch it before I even say it.
Resign or face impeachment. Resign or face impeachment. Resign or face impeachment.
Now, in the comments, do me a solid. Put in there what you caught. What about that clip jumped out at you that said, could that be? I want to know, because I'm not going to even say what it is until I give you some time. I'm going to go on to the next clip, but put it in the comments what you think you saw. Now, in this next clip, let's think about this. This is Ilhan Omar, Somali nation there in Minneapolis. They love her, right? They support her. Now, I want you to look at this clip. And then let's see if you notice something a little odd in this clip also. If you're enjoying this video, do me a solid. Hit that thumbs up because I will never ask you for a cash out, a super chat, or a donation. You doing me a solid by hitting that like button and then hitting that hype button, and it's simple. Go to the comment section. It's underneath the thumbs up and all that stuff. Hit the comment section. Swipe left. The hype button should pop up. So if you hit the like button and the hype button, it helps a great deal. And if you aren't subscribed to the channel, subscribe. And when you do, make sure you hit the notification bell and select all so YouTube can make sure you get notified when I upload new videos.
And round of applause for Congresswoman Omar's staff who's here. Hi, everyone. I'm Mynett.
Okay, now this is C-SPAN. Now, do you notice something about this? Is C-SPAN. They cover hearings, congressional hearings, Senate hearings, and whatnot. And they're there in the room that day. And look at what they just so happen to have their cameras focused on. Isn't it ironic?
And round of applause for Congresswoman Omar's staff who's here. Hi, everyone. I'm Mynett.
Now, something else that's ironic. See, it's highlighted right here. He's in the front row too, huh? So at these events, which are typically, filled up with supporters of Ilhan Omar, he gets in the front row, ironically, the front row aisle seat. And you may say, well, Brian, maybe he knew what he was going to do. So he set that up best for himself. Possibly. Then, ironically, she's standing there talking. She just so happens to make eye contact with him with a quick head nod while going into talking about how Kristi Noem needs to be replaced. So all the other stuff she said didn't mean anything. But once she got to Kristi Noem, she looked, nod, he leaps up, does what he does. She runs after him. So he's sitting in the front row of an Ilhan Omar press conference or event, which is typically filled up with Somalis. He's got a front row aisle seat. Number 2, the cameras just so happens to be focused on him. They got a good shot, clean shot, making sure they got good visuals of the individual, right? Now, could all those things just be coincidences? They could, but what are the odds that all of this takes place literally 24, 48 hours after we find out that the DOJ has opened up an investigation into Ilhan Omar and her husband, Tim Mynett? Now, was that just a small coincidence that within 48 hours after the DOJ announcing the investigation into Ilhan Omar's husband and her, all of a sudden she gets attacked by this individual? Now, here's something else crazy about it. Matter of fact, let me let Fox News break it down for you because they do a really good job of explaining it. And then I'm going to come back in with a little bit of commentary. Check this out.
Fox News alert, Ilhan Omar under investigation after racking up millions while she was in Congress. Senior national correspondent Kevin Cork has it. What's up, Kevin?
Good to see you, my friend. What's the old saying? Follow the money? Well, that's precisely what the House Oversight Committee is doing. They are probing squad member Ilhan Omar's skyrocketing family wealth, Jesse, especially in the wake of that $9 billion, some would argue $19 billion, Somali social services fraud scandal that exploded in her district in Minnesota. The oversight chair, James Comer, says his team's lawyers are exploring the extraordinary step of subpoenaing Omar's spouse over his curious business business practices? Republicans want to know how the Somali-born Omar and her politically connected husband, Tim Mynett, went from being nearly broke to being worth around $30 million in just a year, according to her 2024 disclosure form.
In 1 year, in her disclosure form, which I've shared on other videos, in 2023, the woman claimed that her net worth was around, after her with her student loans and stuff like that, around $45,000-$60,000. On the heels of all of the stuff that's taking place in the country right now, seniors, it's extremely important that you make sure you've got the best Medicare plan available, because this year Medicare plans are expected to increase 10%, and that's $215 out of your Social Security check. And guess what? Some of your doctors may not be in network. Some of your prescriptions may no longer be covered. And that would suck for you to be going to visit your doctor to find out they're not in network, or for you to need a prescription to find out it's no longer covered. Why take the risk? With Chapter, you can reach out to Chapter, and a free phone call can last as short as only 20 minutes and speak to one of the highly skilled, unbiased professionals that will help you make sure you got the best Medicare plan available. If you've got the best, great. But if not, they can make sure you've got what you need. So use that number there on the screen, or visit the website at askchapter.org/realpolitics and let Chapter make sure you've got everything you need. As a matter of fact, the winery that she said her and her husband owned, it was valued at around, I want to say $15,000. It said between $15,000 and $50,000 in 2023. Fast forward to 2024, it's worth between $1 million and $5 million. Then the business that the husband has, some type of venture capitalist business, was valued at literally between $1 and $100,000 in 2023, ballooned up to being evaluated between $5 million and $25 million in 2024. So these things come out, and not only that, y'all, real quick, and I'll let the Fox News video get back. Her husband has been wrapped up and sued for fraud in the winery business. Matter of fact, let me show you a little bit of this, and then I'll get back to the Fox News clip, because this is all important. And you may say, well, Brian, how does this connect to us? Why is it relevant to us? Because it is another example of how far these left-wing extremist radicalized Democrats are willing to go to try to, I don't even want to call it save face, in order to keep themselves out of prison. Because I know people are saying, oh, nothing ever happens. I promise you, I assure you that the hammer is coming down on these people. They're putting together RICOs. Trump is not playing. This isn't how it was before. He knows how this looks to the public. And Ilhan Omar has been one of the biggest mouths since she came in there with the squad. And several members of the squad have already been beat back. And there are several others like AOC and the bald-headed black lady, Ayanna Pressley, out of Massachusetts, where she's in one of those deep blue deranged districts where the people, only like 10,000 people will go out and even vote in the midterm, because notice something. The presidential election is advertised, marketed greatly. There's a reason Democrats do not want midterms popularized, because if the midterms become popular, this is where the Democrats earn their bread and butter, because they have these little radicalized pockets, and they're really good at organizing. And now the Republicans have stepped up our game, and Charlie Kirk did a great job, and then the campaign manager for the RNC, he does a phenomenal job, and he's a gay man that works as a Republican that doesn't believe in the BS they're doing. So our ground game organizing has gotten better. But you may say, how do they keep getting elected? That's how. So few people, I'm talking about typically less than 15, 20% of the voting population even votes in the midterms. Ask yourself, how many times in your city have you found out about a mayoral election or a city council election or whatever it is? You didn't even know it was happening either until the day or week of, or until after it's already passed. And so there's a reason for it. So this deflection game, this ain't anything new. Ilhan Omar is the first one to test it out. Because if the general public buys into this crap, we're going to start seeing quote unquote attacks on Democrats from people all over the place, because the only attacks that have been happening have been coming from Democrats. So this is a public outcry for Ilhan Omar to get sympathy in the public, somehow saying, you know what, after she was attacked, Trump and DOJ stopped the investigation. We all know that's not going to work. But her husband, Congresswoman husband, of an alleged wine fraud. Let me just read a little bit. Title says, if it sounds too good to be true, it usually is, especially when it comes to wine. If I told you that despite no real experience in the wine industry, I had suddenly acquired some wine grapes and could quickly triple your money if you loan me $300,000, would you do it? What if I was married to a member of Congress? As one of the first Muslims ever elected to the House of Representatives, Ilhan Omar has been a lightning rod for criticism, including over her third husband, Tim Mynett, a political consultant she married in 2020. This week, it is Mynett facing criticism in Minnesota. Also, not for the first time, because a lawsuit alleges he defrauded a restaurateur over a wine investment opportunity. The story was broken by the nonprofit publication Minnesota Reformer. But guess what? National media didn't pick it up. This story is from 2024. Real quick, just this juicy story is already being touted by Omar's political opponent. Omar faces a rematch in August's primary in her heavily Democratic district with former Minneapolis City Council member Don Samuels, whom she beat in the 2022 Democratic primary by a mere 2,466 votes out of more than 114,000 cast. There is no evidence that Omar herself was involved in Mynett's failed foray into the wine business, but not surprising, as she is a practicing Muslim. What it sounds like to me is that Mynett was incredibly naive about the wine industry, and so was the investor who is suing him, Washington, D.C. restaurateur Naeem Maud. I'm pronouncing that the best I can. Of course, that doesn't make false representations okay, but that is a matter for the courts. So, Tim Mynett, remember now, this article came out in 2024. So Ilhan Omar went on to win her re-election. The public had no idea that this was going on. And let's get back to the financial disclosures. This article was written in June of 2024. The financial disclosures that they submitted was for 2023 and for 2024. So in 2024, the wine business that he defrauded, and this isn't the only person, there's several. They were connected to this Asian guy who was also a major fraudster, but he was on the board of their venture capitalist company. So it's the craziest thing in the world we got going on. This is not by mistake. This is by design. But let me let Fox News finish breaking this down.
Quoting Comer now, there are a lot of questions as to how her husband accumulated so much wealth over the past 2 years. It's not possible. It's not. And he's a money guy. Mynett and his partner, Will Haler, back in 2022, formed an investment firm, Jesse, named Rose Lake Capital. They had $42 in their bank account at the time, but in a year, up to $25 million, according to Omar's filing. By the way, he also has a wine business that went from next to nothing to millions on its books. Not surprisingly, associates were so perplexed about the irregularities, they brought information and attention to the feds to, look into it. Now, for her part, the Congresswoman has repeatedly, and I say defiantly, denied any wrongdoing, while being also careful to criticize the ongoing probe. But, sometimes they say, Jesse, the ones who yell the loudest have the most to hide.
Well, innocent until proven guilty. I'm sure everything was perfectly legal. We're just checking to find out. Kevin, good to see you.
So, as you see, this is all smoke and mirrors. And that whole event with this individual, with that guy, let me show you what this person should read for his performance that day with Ilhan Omar.
Thank you all so much. You deserve it, man. Thank you.
So he get his Oscar for his performance, but let's get off into who he is. His name is Andy Kazmierczyk. It's one of those names, Andy Kazmierczyk. Now, what the lamestream media is going to try to do is spin him as some type of MAGA guy, right? Oh, he's Republican. And these folks are so devious. I want to show you something. This man has had his page that says January of 2024. Now, when you go down his page, he only following 11 people, 14 followers. Anybody that believes this is a real Facebook page, you have no idea what psychological operations are. When they have assets that work, these folks know how social media works. So they have these pages that they just set up, and they're there as little things. And when they need them, they activate them. Now, on his page, what's ironic is this man never posts anything. Hasn't posted anything since February 10th, 2025. And everything that he does share is just reposted. And guess what most of it is? Conservative information. Libs of TikTok. Tim Pool. Terrence K. Williams. And it's not very many posts either. I mean, it stops. It goes down in February 15th, 2024. That's all it is, right? So they want to portray him as MAGA, but wait till I get into some of his personal life. So what I did is I looked at all of the Andys with that name. And as you can see, it's clear as day, that's him right there, right? So there was no other page. And I said, oh my goodness, they're going to try to spin this guy as a MAGA guy. And that would work only for somebody that's ignorant. It would only sound smart to dumb people. Because when you take 2 seconds to really do a little bit more digging on him, you find out that it's going to be really hard for them to spin him as a MAGA guy. So look at this. It says, well. The alleged Ilhan Omar sprayer, Andy Kazmierczak, we agreed that it's okay for me to butcher this name, seeks to have some far-left gender pronoun children. But yeah, he's totally MAGA. This stinks of being staged. There are 30 million reasons why. So let's take a look at his children. So as we see here, we got the blue hair going on. We got the nose rings. We got the piercings. Hands off Minnesota, reject Pam Body's demands, post on the children's page. Daughter, leftism for you, identifies as queer. Is this him? So they're going to sell you that this man, and we all know typically, especially looking at the age of these children, they aren't grown. Children typically reflect the political ideology of the household because that's all you hear. That's all you're around. And it's a lot more likely for a child to align with the parent politically than it is to differ from it. So even in houses where the parents are super duper far left, the children may not agree with all of the super far left, but they're far left, just not that far left. Same thing on the right. If a father, mom, and dad is conservative, believes in God as even, the son or the daughter typically has those also, maybe not as strong of a conviction yet. And on both sides, it's just due to they haven't experienced life yet to be able to deepen those foundations of whatever they believe. But anybody that believes that this man is a MAGA guy is nuts. And the worst thing for the Democrats to have it spun as one of their own jumped out and sprayed this woman, which has been happening at all the protests, the Palestine protests when they was going crazy in there. It happened with the Tesla keying. They were keying up Democrat Teslas because mostly Democrats have been buying Teslas. Yes, conservative people drive the Tesla cars, the EVs, no doubt. But the leftists loved Elon before he supported Trump. Remember that? He was their golden boy. And anything he put out, they were all about the Green New Scam and all of that stuff. These Ivy Leaguers, they could afford it. They went out and did it. But to try to spin this guy who has these children as a MAGA guy, and then when you go to his page, he never shares any of his own personal thoughts or beliefs. Everything is just a repost. That's unnatural. That's not how people do. If it's your page, you're going to reply to something. You're going to comment on something, especially in today. So what I wanted to do, I wanted to highlight to you the fact that these folks are so deranged. They set up a staged hoax type of an attack where they probably really, because the people in there say how bad it stunk. So they ain't no telling what they put in that thing. Probably one of them little, and I don't like the word fart. I think it's a really gross word. So I just wanted to explain that real quick. So when I say pass gas, you'll understand what I mean. They took a canister of somebody's gas that was passed. They sell it at the store. You can smell it, you spray it, and it just stinks all the way up, or like a stink bomb type stuff that's in it. Man, they put some of that crap inside of a vial, sprayed it on her, so it stunk up the room. She acted like she was a hero. And see, I don't think her security was in on it because he was adamant on, you got to get out of it. She kept saying, no. She even touched his chin, petted his chin like, no, we're okay. Just relax. She couldn't say, hey, dude, we staged this. It's not that deep. Because if her security would have grabbed her up, took her and ran her out of there, would have defeated the whole freaking purpose. Which they probably should have, because the more footage we got and the more better we're able to look at it, it's easy to see. Front row seat, aisle seat, eye contact between her and him. At the same time, she was talking about Ice and Kristi Noem. She tries to chase after the attacker rather than retreat because you don't know what he got, what was in that container. Self-preservation usually kicks in. Damn, was that anthrax that he sprayed on me? What was that? But no, she didn't have self-preservation. None of those things. Superhuman, 5 foot, whatever, 90-pound Ilhan Omar was going to save the day. Then she just had to deliver the speech like it was the most important speech in the world. And, when they have those movies where if this person doesn't give the speech on this day, the universe changes type thing, where if she didn't make it, civilization was just going to implode. Bull crap. It was so she could use it to step up and act like she was just a victim, but at the same time a hero. And in that article, did you notice Ilhan Omar is the very first Muslim elected to Congress? Now, I have no issues with Muslim, but I will tell you this. She has made it extremely difficult for us to ever trust just a Muslim person jumping in Congress, because she was one of the most anti-American congressional members we have ever had in this country. I don't believe there's anyone that is more anti-American than the batch of Democrat squad members we have in Congress today, ever in history. They would have never been elected 20 years ago. We know that. I'll say even 15 years ago. This is how fast the Democrat social engineering has worked. but we're beating it back. So get ready, because I got a little documentary that's coming out, and it's going to break down what's actually happening with this whole psyop that happened, where they have psychologically engineered. They tried really hard. They almost social engineered this country to accept men and women's sports, men in women's bathrooms, men in dresses as normal. They almost got us to accept tampon machines in boys' bathrooms and open borders, letting illegal immigrants just chill out and kick it. This is the same way that other nations have been destroyed. It is a literal playbook. I'm not making that up. There's a literal playbook on how to destroy a nation. And they tried it here, one of the last free sovereign nations on the planet. And that's why the Most High God, with all of does America have a lot of things that we could do better? Absolutely. But that's why the Most High God continues to protect us and bless us, because at least we are doing our best to give people the opportunity to live like we was born to live, being able to go where you want to go, talk how you want to talk, live how you want to live, and develop yourself to be what and who you want to be. So I wanted to bring you this information to let you know, have no fear. Staged, in my opinion, is all fake. And we're going to see the hammer keep dropping. And I do believe Ilhan Omar will be kicked out of Congress and will have her hands in handcuffs and perp walked. I do believe that. So tell me in the comments, do you believe it? I want to know what you think. And if you hung out and watched this with me up to this point, thank you from the top and bottom of my heart. I really do appreciate you. If you haven't already, hit that like button. And if you aren't subscribed already, subscribe. Most importantly, I want you to stay safe and you be great. I'm Brian Maxwell saying I look forward to seeing you at the top. Over and out, y'all.